Today, true crime breaking news. It's a developing story that has shocked the nation. A Phoenix woman who has been in a vegetative state for over 10 years has just given birth. Yep, you heard right. And now investigators are on the hunt for her rapists. Who could do something so horrific? Our crime panel is back. Crime correspondent Melissa Moore, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Clay Watson, and former homicide prosecutor and host of True Conviction on Investigation Discovery, Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi. Anna-Sigga, let's start with the latest on this case. What do you know?
Because these are sexual assault allegations, the victim has not been identified, but all reports list her as a 29-year-old Native American woman, part of the San Carlos Apache tribe. As the tape mentioned, it is believed that she was assaulted. She has been in a vegetative state for 10 years since she almost drowned years ago. December 29th, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and police got involved when they were called for a baby in distress. The mother and child were taken to the hospital, and after their recovery, they were released to the woman's parents, and no parties have been named at this point.
Such a bizarre story. Do you have any awareness of it ever happening before?
Unfortunately, yes. The first reported case of this was a woman who had been in a coma for 10 years after a car accident, and she gave birth to a 2-pound baby boy. DNA was taken in that case, and a nursing assistant was found to have sexually assaulted her, was found guilty and imprisoned. As a result of that, in New York, Kathy's Law was passed, where you can get stiffer penalties if you're a healthcare worker and assault a patient.
But Dr. Oz, something that I found very disturbing about this case was the fact that nobody knew she was pregnant for the 9 months. Every caregiver that took care of her didn't tell, like they bathed her every day. They couldn't tell that her belly was swelling, that she stopped having her periods. She gave birth and nobody knew until the day she was giving birth. She was moaning, and that's why they took her to the hospital. Yep. So that's what's shocking to me, is that none of the healthcare staff knew she was pregnant.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine for a lot of reasons. I believe also that they didn't know there was a problem until she was having belly pain. Mm-hmm. And she was moaning because people still feel pain even if they're in a coma state. Clay, you study the minds of criminals. You understand what's going on in this kind of a person. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Who could do this? And who should police be looking for?
The person who, and we have to call the perpetrator in this case. The perpetrator in this case is someone who has some extreme abnormal desire sexually. We usually refer to this in the medical field as paraphilias. This person who, whether they're an employee or a regular visitor to the facility, has to be able to conceal their abnormal tendencies. And so the police will have to look for someone like that.
Well, a depraved person like this could do it again to somebody else. How likely is it there are more victims?
Oh, certainly. I wouldn't be surprised if there were many other victims and maybe in other facilities, especially if this is a person who has been an employee in this field, and the healthcare field and nursing homes and such. And so this person may go on not detected for a long period of time. Some of these individuals will act out fantasies. First start out with fantasies, then act on small scales, and then escalate over time. So it wouldn't be surprising if there are other victims either at this facility or at other places.
But it might not just be somebody who works at this facility, because from what I studied, this facility had many access points and the employees didn't have to scan in to get in. So anybody could come in through the back way. So it could be, I know they're doing DNA samples from all the male staff members, but it really could be a visitor or anybody on the outside, because anybody could get in.
Could be, but it's often most likely that someone in a case like this that's very familiar with the hospital workings. They know when it's likely for another employee to come and enter. So most likely it's going to be someone who has serious knowledge, and so most likely, unfortunately, someone who is in a position of trust there.
So the police sex crimes unit is investigating this as a sex assault case, taking DNA, as Melissa mentioned, from all the male employees at Hacienda Healthcare. They can use this. It's called a buccal swab, this little thing, to test DNA just by getting a little saliva. And this is an important point. The fact that it's not really invasive to get the DNA changes the law a bit. And I guess Hacienda Healthcare was initially going to just do this themselves, and then they shied away. until police came.
Yes, Hacienda Healthcare decided that they were going to see if their employees would voluntarily submit or that they were going to require them. Well, they couldn't do that on their own. You need the law to back you up on this. So police actually executed a search warrant on Hacienda Healthcare. They are cooperating to give those DNA samples. And as you noted, Dr. Oz, it's exactly that. It's because of the non-invasiveness. It is just a cheek swab inside your cheek that they are able to get this DNA, why the law allows this.
Although it does raise the specter of privacy, because I understand why police could come into my home without me permitting it with a warrant and look around, and all your homes as well. But I could have a warrant in the studio and collect, swabs from everybody here, even if they don't want to, in theory.
Well, you have to show probable cause. You have to show there's a reason. We can't just say we're going to go swab people.
But assuming there's a reason, now that information is held by the law, they could use it perhaps for other purposes.
Yes, although there's a lot of other laws in place to show when they can disseminate, what they can do with that information, who it can be given to afterward to try to protect privacy interests.
So, and the CEO I know was resigned. Not surprising.
Yes, just days after this allegation came to light, the longtime CEO resigned.
What do you know about him?
His name is Bill Timmons. He's been there for years. And days after this woman gave birth and the nation outcry at these allegations came, there are also more allegations. There are new reports of other abuses and violations at the same facility. So unfortunately, this may be just the beginning of what we hear.
I know a lot of you are wondering, how is it possible that in the vegetative state, if you're brain dead even, you could give birth to a healthy baby? Well, your organs are still functioning, most likely. That's why you're still alive, even though your brain's not working normally. And this woman was getting nourishment externally, probably from the feeding tube. And I was told in our reports that that this woman in particular was only identified as being pregnant when her contractions started. That's, to Melissa's point, a reflection of how much attention was being paid to her.
But also, don't they keep track of their weight, the patient's weight? How did they miss her weight gain? I don't understand. I can understand how, if you see someone every day, that you might not notice changes gradually, but if they're doing the weight charts, I would think that would show up.
What is the family saying about this? They must be infuriated.
They're absolutely devastated. I mean, they put her in there for the best care possible, and she was in this fragile state, and she was taken advantage of, and they're absolutely devastated. And the little child is taken care of right now, and the mother, the victim, is in a hospital right now.
We reached out to the family and received a statement from their lawyer. So he gave it to us on their behalf. He said the family obviously is outraged, traumatized, and in shock by the abuse and neglect of their daughter at the Hacienda Healthcare. The family is well aware of the intense news and public interest in their daughter's case, but at this time is not emotionally ready to make a public statement. They concluded the baby has been born into a loving family and will be well cared for. We reached out to Hacienda Healthcare, and they said in part, Hacienda stands committed to doing everything in our power to bring this police investigation to a quick conclusion. We will continue to cooperate with Phoenix Police and all other investigative agencies to uncover the facts in this deeply disturbing but unprecedented situation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.